Welcome to my channel. My name is Emmie from Emmie Evolving. If this is your first time joining me, thank you for finding me. If this is not your first time, thank you for coming back. So, hold on one second. Let me close this out, close that out. All right, let's get started. I'm going to revert back to the way I used to pull cards because I feel like that used to tell a very potent story. So this reading is for Pisces, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus, also for your cross watchers, also for those of us who find ourselves on this channel without any Piscean anything. You're probably an empath. You're probably needing messages from your soul. And I'm here for all of that. So I asked what this reading was going to be about. And I basically was told sometimes, when you go through all this effort to avoid something, that's the very thing, like what you've chosen, what you're doing, that's the very thing that brings you directly to what you had been avoiding. Let me just tie my hair back. I have this thing about my hair being in my face. I don't like it touching my face at all. Like at all. I think it's since I was a child. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. So the thing with Pisceans and empaths, we have a tendency to avoid, right? We like to avoid conflict. We like to avoid discussing things that are uncomfortable. Just that whole avoidance game is strong AF in us. Strong AF in us. I'm wondering if that avoidance game really just created struggle only to land you in the same mother fluffing situation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Michael that says, don't do that. What? Don't do what? All right. We'll pull from this deck as well. How's everyone's morning going? Did you guys have a good Thursday? 1, 2, 3. It's lots of imagery coming through. A lot of almost like information communication that hasn't been properly received. I don't know if this is energetic communication. I don't know if maybe someone's been maybe trying to message you, text you, email you, message you on social media. I mean, God, I think that's part of my Piscean quirk. I don't quite get to messages very well. 1. So put that there. And then this. All right. We're almost ready, guys. We're almost ready. Oh, that's nice, Annie. That's very, very nice. All right. 1. Ooh. Okay. Got all the info we need. Got all the info that we need. All right. So you've been on this journey. Okay. You've been on this massive journey that is really bringing you back to yourself. Maybe you've gotten so far down the line with thinking and feeling based on what other people want and need from you, thinking and feeling based on how other people tell you you need to be, either through their actions or just flat out telling you. And it's this thing of like, do you need that kind of pressure in your life? Do you need that? And if you feel like, well, I don't need that, but I need them, but that's who they are. That's who they are. And I don't know if you're going to be able to heal them. I don't know if you're going to be able to love them into a wholeness that will help them to better accept you as you are. I mean, they kind of are who they are. And if that's not compatible with you, then we kind of just need to be okay with that, you know? We kind of need to just get to this place where our focus is making ourselves whole. Not because, we're selfish and we're victims and all these other things, but just because that's what you deserve. You deserve an internal peace that comes from being a whole person, from being accepted as a whole person. For someone to accept you, they have to be willing to um, just let you be you. They're not accepting you if, like, okay, but you have to do this, this, and this, okay? You have to do this, this, and this, and then I can accept you. You can't ever say or do anything that irritates me, because then I can't accept you. Okay, I can't ever be made to feel as though you don't 100% love me, like you got irritated by something I did or you got triggered by something I did, because if you do, then I can't give you my love. I can't give you my friendship. That's not actual acceptance. When someone can only be around you if you never say anything that offends them, either maybe they misinterpreted something you said, maybe you were talking about something else. This is like this conversation that I've been having with Michael since this morning. I'm really not sure where it's coming from. It's a sense of like, did someone misunderstand something I said? Because oftentimes I don't talk about the actual situation that's triggered the thoughts that I've had. It's not been uncommon for me to be talking about something completely different, and then someone to approach me behind the scenes after the live stream is done, and they say like, "I'm so sorry you got upset with me. I didn't realize it upset you." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. Like, "Oh, because you were talking about me during the live stream." What? I wasn't talking about you. What are you talking about? That's not uncommon to happen to me. That's not an uncommon thing where people think I'm referencing them and I'm not. I'm not. So maybe you said something or you did something and someone took it personally as though it was aimed at them, when in reality, you're just processing your life. Oftentimes, when I think about things and it comes up during this space that we share, it's about things that have happened years ago. It takes me years to process things. It literally takes me years to process things. You guys have seen, um, I avoided the processing of the emotions that arose from the things that people had done way back in 2017. My goodness, we're almost at 2022. 2022. That's 5 years, yo. That's 5 years, and I'm just barely, barely letting myself get upset about that. So, that road that I took to avoid the processing of whatever that was that happened years ago, it's the very thing that's causing me to circle back around and experience all of those things now. And, you know, you know, it's just one of those things. It's just one of them things that a girl goes through when I'm angry inside. Don't wanna take it out on you. Just one of them things. It might just be one of them things that you're going through for real. And I'm wondering if maybe there's a lot of misunderstanding even within yourself, misunderstandings within, your circle of friends, within your family. Misunderstandings are gonna continue to be misunderstandings so long as things are not explained. Um, I'm very good at explaining things for other people that don't involve me. Things that are my personal thing that I'm going through, not so good. Not so good communicating when it comes to my personal stuff. So, maybe that's something we need to work on. Maybe that's something that we need to really, really focus on during this period, because there's a lot of journeying going on. There's a lot of growth that's being proposed by your soul, and it's something that needs to be allowed to happen, because if you don't allow it to happen, it's going to take you to the very place that you've been trying to avoid. And it's probably going to have accrued so much energy that it's going to hit you a lot harder this time around. Like a lot harder. So maybe that's that. Maybe that's the thing that we really need to focus on. Okay. Um, there's this guardian, there's this familiar energy that is kind of wafting around you, and this familiar energy does not want any harm to come to you. So for some of us, this represents a person, an actual alive human being. For others of us, this might represent family members who have passed on. For others of us, this might be your galactic team. This might be your celestial team. This might be your spiritual entourage. We just really don't know. There is something that's familiar to you, and it's serving as some sort of guardian. It wants to protect you from unnecessary experiences. I think that even includes unnecessary struggle. And of course, we always have the end say in that. We always are the final say in whether or not we're going to experience elevations in struggle or not. I will tell you, based on my personal experience with my life and based on how much I've been able to assist all of my clients by simply observing, listening what they're telling me, observing the energies, all of that. Um, when we avoid things, we further compound, complicate, and compact the problem. It becomes a much more dense type of experience. An increase in density means a decrease in frequency. You're bringing yourself down. That's why when we don't want to deal with our life events, we say, "Oh, I feel so down." Well, your energy has gone down. Your frequency has gone down. The lower your frequency is, the harder it's going to be the harder it's going to be for you to be able to see your situation with clarity. It's going to become more and more distorted with that human logic that got you to that place of pain and suffering to begin with. So we have to begin really assessing where our life is taking us. Are we going towards what we want? If no, we're not doing that. Okay, why do we not want where our life is taking us? What is it? Do you really not want it, or are you simply avoiding it because you're afraid? And if you're afraid, why are you afraid? I don't think it's because of potential failure. What I've been recognizing for empaths, many of us are not actually afraid of failure. We're accustomed to being rejected. We're accustomed to being vilified, ostracized. We're accustomed to people negatively judging us and even going so far as to condemn us. We're accustomed to all these really ugly things. We're accustomed to it. I think what we're actually afraid of, if you get down to the root of it, is succeeding. I think what we're actually truly afraid of is success. If success is in your destiny, I'm sorry, but you can't stop it. You literally can't. You cannot stop what is rightfully yours from entering your life, whether that be connections with people, whether that be opportunities to advance your career, to advance your intellect, your emotional intelligence, your energetic development. You just can't stop that. You can't. And the more you struggle to try and stop that, the more that struggle is received as punishment. You're not being punished. I promise you. You are not being punished. When you continue to make wrong decision after wrong decision after wrong decision for yourself, it becomes much more difficult. And for anyone who's like, but Emmie, I thought you had said before, there's no such thing as a mistake. There's no such thing as a wrong decision. It's your perception of it being a wrong decision that causes me to use the term wrong decision. Is it a wrong decision or is it an elevation in your learning? My wrong decisions always cause an elevation in my potential learning. It increases my ability to learn. It deepens, ripens what it is I'm learning. That could potentially mean cycles are starting again. Cycles are potentially starting again, and it's almost like this sense of this thing that you've been avoiding. I don't I almost feel like it involves you and another person. Um this thing this thing I'm trying to quantify what this thing is in the most general way possible, so that way enough people can receive whatever message and guidance. Maximize the number of people who can receive guidance that applies to them personally. I don't know if I can though. It keeps being this sense within the chest of like something that's based in a love connection, and not the limited type of love that humans think of. It's not just, romantic or involving attempts to fornicate or any of that. This is a love that has kind of like surpassed all the different types of love you've experienced in this lifetime. This is the type of love that stories are made of. Not just stories about lovers, but stories about that parent-child relationship, best friends, about elders and the children and the warriors and the meek. And it's this like really profound omnilove type of love. And I feel like for some, this is something that you've been working on for a while, for for many many lifetimes actually, to excuse me, circle back to that place of love once again. So I'm wondering if you're cycling, doing a sub cycle through this lifetime, kind of like a micro to macro learning opportunity, where you're testing a smaller batch of maybe cookie dough. Maybe you created a cookie dough recipe and you're testing a smaller batch to see what needs to be adjusted. And do you want to make it more chewy? Do you want to make it more crunchy? Do you want to, do you want more chocolate chips? Do you want to add in other ingredients? And testing in a small batch. And once you perfect that, once you get it calibrated just right to where it's what you're actually looking for, being able to apply that to the macro, meaning now you can mass produce this. You can use larger, industrialized equipment. And instead of making a dozen at a time, you can make a baker's dozen per batch. So it's kind of like that, where we're learning certain aspects of life in a smaller, scaled down micro sense, so that we can begin to be able to apply it in a macro sense. I was just thinking failure is not an option, and how I didn't know how afraid I was of success. Yes. Yes, Robert. Yes. Oh my goodness. A lot of our fear is about succeeding. It's not really about failing, because the reality is we've failed at so many things, like our perception of failure, society's definition of failure. We've technically failed at so much that it's no big deal. It's no big deal. But the success part, like, well, then what do I do after that? Mm. Like I'm reaching a point, like this has been a heavy type of thought process over the past week. Um, it might be time for me to go from LLC to an S corp. Might even need to consider a C corp. I don't know. I don't know the difference between the two. I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand. And then here comes this thing of like cryptocurrency gets tossed in there and I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? And I don't really know. I don't really know. I just don't know. I woke up at like, I want to say around 3 a.m. so that I can read about Elliott wave theories or whatever the heck it's called. I don't know what it's called. EWTs. It's some theory of patterning of the waves. And I'm just like, how did this even show up on my phone? It's literally a book. Hold up. Let me I'll get it for you guys. I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's the Elliott wave principle. It's a wave principle. The wave principle is Ralph Nelson Elliott's discovery that social or crowd behavior trends and reverses in recognizable patterns. Uh-huh. It is a cool theory. It's something that apparently I need to be aware of. It's a really cool thing. I was reading it last night or this morning, and it's like, why do I need to know all of these things? Well, because I'm about to position myself in a way where that next step that I need to reach, that next plateau, because that's what a step is. There's an incline and then a plateau. That's a step. We think that when we plateau, we have somehow failed. That, well, this is all I can do. No, that's not all you can do. That's not all you can do. Walking is nothing but a series of almost falling. Because you're like almost falling, but then you put your other foot out. And when you put your other foot out and straighten yourself up, you're now climbing the next step and you're almost falling and you put your next foot out and you straighten yourself up and you go and do the next cycle. And so that's what's happening. I know another step. I feel myself almost falling and that other leg needs to come out and catch me before I fall. And I need to straighten myself up. So these are components of what that next step is going to be. I can no longer shy away from that. I can no longer pretend that where I am right now is enough. And it's not that I want more or need more. It's that part of what my personal soul purpose is involves so many other people that I need to allow myself to be positioned in a way to allow those people in, to allow myself to have all the components that are necessary to achieve the things I need to achieve. So then you might be wondering, how does this even circle back to fear of success? Like, it sounds like you're not scared of success. You're doing the things you're supposed to be doing, considering things. Well, how many years have I dragged my feet? How many? It's been years, a lot of years. I was given instructions back in, oh gosh, I want to say 2003. I want to say it was 2003. Mhm. And then I was basically forced into situations around 2016ish, that has forced decision after decision after decision, um, taking into consideration my reactionary nature. Um, yeah, I'm reactive sometimes. Sometimes I'm volatile. Uh, Michael's laughing. He's like, that's why I enjoy watching the crypto markets. It's volatile, but I am too. So we vibe. We vibe. And that's the thing, though. All this time I've spent trying to deny, trying to ignore, trying to avoid the acceptance of my volatility, failing to accept it. And in that failure to accept, I'm denying the truth of how powerful being volatile in a controlled manner can be. You don't have to fight with other people just because you're volatile. You can allow that easy triggering that you have, that characteristic of being able to be easily triggered, to serve as a fuel for your rise. Yeah, it's a very potent fuel. When you can harness that instead of just being explosive, I mean, if you're just being explosive, you're just detonating manifestation energy for what? To create more drama in life? Because I've been done with drama. I'm just done with drama. I've never been into drama. I haven't. I haven't. I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy, other people talking caca about other people to me. I don't like knowing that. I don't like witnessing it. I don't like it. I just don't. So it's not that I enjoy drama. Okay. It's that I have to allow the drama that enters my life here and there to serve its purpose. And what's its purpose? To trigger me to rise above it. If you need an example, let me give you one. Back in 2017, a BFF, my adopted daughter, she loves me like her mom. um, she got upset with me because I guess I wasn't devoting enough hours of my day to her. And and then she decided to quietly begin forming groups to try and literally slander and libel me every opportunity she got, even to people who don't know who the heck I am. Literally. Like, literally have no idea who I am. And she would go to them and say all these things. And then they'd be like, oh my God, that's horrible. Yeah. So that was what, 2017 ish. And I didn't react to that. Everything kind of just accrued. I didn't react to that. It's like, listen, I know she's a wounded person. I'm going to just let her wild out on her own. I know those things are not true. People who believe those things, they really don't need to be around me anyways. It's all good. Come 2018 ish, that cycle renewed itself. It renewed itself. And it became this thing of between 2017 and 2018, that corrective angle. Oh, it ties into the Elliott wave principle. What was it? Hold on. I'll find it. It is a corrective wave, a three-wave pattern, a combination of three-wave patterns that moves in the opposite direction of the trend of the larger degree. So as I was traversing up, there were three waves that caused me to kind of dip a little bit before I continued to rise again, and then dip more and rise again. And that's the wave patterning. Okay. That's the wave patterning. And once you get to that, I guess like it's the fifth, let me put it in terms that he used. Let's see. Um, See, this is a basic pattern. I was like looking at this all last night. I couldn't figure out why. So that's the basic pattern. Once you get to that number 5, then you've completed that cycle. And what ended up happening when I needed to complete that cycle, with people trying to tear me down publicly for really no reason, literally no reason. I didn't do anything to anyone aside from minding my own business. Aside from minding my own business. That's what they were pissed off about. Couldn't access me because I was minding my own effing business. I reached that point where, what am I going to choose to do? Am I going to choose to kind of just give up, give in? What am I going to do? Am I going to break down and cry and just lay there broken on the floor? Because broken people wanted to try and break me. And then came this thought of like, but I'm not them. I'm not them. So any contemplation that touches on like, I'm going to get back at them, I'm going to punish them, I'm going to this and that, that's off the table right off. Right from the start, that's off the table. I don't need any of that. Those are not options that are in alignment with who I am as a person. I'm not like that. Um, so then what was my other option? Well, for me, there was only one other option: to accept the fact that you don't like me and to not give a shit. I really don't care. I don't care. As long as I can take the time to really fully assess if I did something to start this, and if I didn't, where I can be really truly honest with myself, hold myself accountable, I didn't start anything. I'm not a bad person. I'm not who they are telling people I am. Well, then I don't have to care about anything they're saying. I really, really don't. I don't have to care about anything they're saying. I can use that period of triggering and harness it in such a way that will push me forward, like launch me forward. It's beyond walking away. It's about allowing the accrued energy to completely launch you in that forward trajectory. And a lot of the missteps that I've taken have more to do with trying to create a trajectory with blinders on. And why did I have blinders on? I was trying to avoid being fully present in the process that I was in. Because what if I succeed? What if I succeed? Well, then I don't know. People will notice that I've succeeded at something. And what's so bad about that? I still don't know the answer to it. I still don't know what is so bad about succeeding. What's so bad about that? And part of what I've struggled through personally over the past few years is people being upset that I have put in countless hours of myself, my life, into the work that I do. They didn't like that. They didn't like that I spend day in and day out, literally no days off for years now. No days off. I don't do days off. Days off and it has to be in my calendar, are just days where I'm not doing scheduled appointments, so I can instead do pro bono work, catch up on other projects that I'm falling behind on. Like, I work 7 days a week. From the time I wake up till the time I go to sleep, I am working. Why wouldn't I be able to establish something amazing for myself if I'm putting that much time and effort into it? And this applies to everyone. If you're putting that much time and effort into honing your craft, into establishing a proper foundation from which you can build amazing things, what's wrong with that? And I had the people who wanted what I was establishing for myself. They wanted it for themselves without putting in that work. They didn't like it. And then they began accusing me of being money hungry, that I'm just greedy. Greedy for what? Greedy for what? For proper compensation? So that in my free time, I can continue to do the work that I do completely for free? And then came this thing of, why am I even considering what these skewed, disillusioned people are thinking of me? Why do I even care? Why am I even considering it? At no point in my life, when I was still waiting, wanting, needing people's approval, Did anyone give me approval to be who I am today? I had to learn the hard way. The only approval I need comes from myself, my heart, and my soul. That's it. The road I took to avoid the process that I needed to go through to begin consciously cultivating the value of my perception of myself. That's the very process I went through to get to the very thing I was avoiding. Now I'm at a point where, you know what? I appreciate the people who accept me as I am, who see my quirks and just accept it as quirks. I also have an appreciation for the people who don't accept me as I am and try and leverage their presence or their absence in my life to try and force me into compliance, because you really keep me going. You do. You really keep me going. You keep me moving forward, because I don't want to stay there in that place of toxicity, that place where you did that. I don't want to stay there. That's a very uncomfortable, ugly place for me. I don't like that feeling. So because I don't like that feeling, I'm going to walk away from it. I'm going to walk away from it because now I've finally gotten to a point where it's like my personal peace, my internal peace is so much more important to me than any type of social anything, than any type of money I could potentially make, than any type of business move, than any type of any of that. I've had plenty of opportunities, business opportunities, where I could have made massive amounts of money, but it's like, I'm good. You don't feel right to me. I don't want notoriety. I just want to exist as I am and allow what is rightfully mine to re-enter into my life. Whatever form that abundance takes, I'm willing to accept it now. Whether that abundance comes in the form of mistakes that lead to elevations in learning and potentiality, a deepening and ripening of my self-acceptance and self-love, I'll accept that. If that involves more people coming into my life who actually just love me, are like hardcore in their support of me, like they want to protect me from myself even, I'll accept that. If it involves people that I wish would stay around me, if it involves them walking away from me, I'll accept that. I'll accept my life and my processes as they are now. I'm not going to try and control it. I'm going to work my way through whatever those cycles are, the sub cycles within the larger cycles, knowing that life is nothing but a series of cycles and sub cycles within those cycles. I'll get through things. And when it circles back around, that's telling me I did not fail at this. I've learned to the degree that now it's being brought back around to test how well I can apply what I learned the last time I experienced it. When was the last time you were able to look at your life in that way? When was the last time? Mine was fairly recent. I saw the same cycle starting again. How did I first recognize that cycle was starting? I felt something weird. Couldn't quantify what it was. It was just this weird sense of discomfort. A discomfort that involves a person that has like been so publicly like loyal and loving to me. And I'm like, why am I feeling like this? Am I just being a bitch? um, I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, am I just, is this hormones? Am I just wanting to pick on someone and this person seems like an easy target, but I didn't want to pick on them? I wasn't angry with them. It's just this weird feeling that I could not quantify. And because I couldn't quantify it, you know what I did? I distinctly remember where I was. It was around this time of year. And my husband and I were walking through the parking lot about to enter into Best Buy. That's how profound it was for me. And I asked my husband, we're holding hands. I asked my husband, hey, what do you think about so and so? She's super sweet, isn't she? He goes, oh, That's oh, uh-uh. I was like, no, she's so sweet. She'd never hurt me. She's so sweet. And he just looked at me like, like he's heard that before. You know who he's heard that about? Every single person who has tried to intentionally, grievously harm me since I've become publicly visible. It's this thing of, I can tell something's about to go down, and I'm like, see, I've went all country on that. I can tell something's about to go down. I'm like, no, but they're so sweet. Oh, they'd never. No. Yeah. Yeah, they would. You can't control who people are. Everyone has a capability of being hurtful and harmful to someone else. And this need to believe that someone else could never, someone specific would never, is probably evidence of you knowing that they're about to. They're about to, and you just don't want to believe it. You just don't want to believe it. That's, it's a hard thing. It hurts. It hurts. And so several months went on. That conversation ended right there. Several months went on, and then I asked again, hey, what do you think about so and so? Husband again, like, you know, whenever you ask about someone, you already know. You already know. And I do already know. Because it didn't take long. It wasn't very many more months after that where I saw it was the start of that cycle. It was the start of that same cycle. And it's like, okay, I hope you have an amazing life. I'm wishing you all the best that is rightfully yours. I will no longer accept any sessions, and you will be banned from every single platform that I have an account on. And then just walking away. And that's that. Because I've already been through several cycles of that, like more than just several. Quite a few of those cycles. I know where that goes every single time. Because I don't want to see the ugly in people. I want to believe the best about everyone. I want to believe that the potentiality that I see in you is what you're going to choose to live up to. I want to avoid the acceptance that you might not choose that. You might choose something far beneath what you can actually be, who you actually are. And now I've learned. Anytime I'm like, hey, what do you think about so and so? They're sweet, right? Ah, no, no. Yeah. That's how it happens now. Damn. I really like them. Now just leave it alone, girl. Just leave it alone. Let it go. Let it go. Stop trying to forge a deeper connection. Just leave it be. when you allow yourself to have that distance and that quiet, it tends to negate some of the things that required our energy and our participation to ripen whatever the ugly potentiality is. So like I'm being shown a boil. I don't know if you guys know this, but if you put a hot compress on a boil, um, depending on what stage that boil is at, you can actually encourage it to come to a head, and that way you can drain it. You can begin the process of draining it. You can cause it to even begin drying up, and instead of being liquid pus, it becomes like a little nodule of pus. I'm into this kind of stuff. I know it's nasty, it's TMI, but I'm into this kind of medical stuff. So you could totally do that. And it's like your love, the heat of your love can be the very thing that causes this boil to ripen and come to a head. And it's like, isn't that what you want? Yes, but if you don't have the hazmat gear, if you don't have the hazmat gear, you don't have the gloves, you don't have absorbent, sterile absorbent material, you're about to get infectious material on you. That's infectious material. That's biohazard. You know what I mean? So if you don't know what you're doing to lance a boil and drain it, you're probably better off letting a medical professional do that for you. You're probably better off with that. That means it's not your job to heal other people to that degree. But I mean, we can't leave the wounded. Okay, you can call them an Uber to bring them to their therapist, their psychiatrist. You can get them a prepaid cell phone so that they can call somebody who's trained, actually trained and licensed to address their psychological needs. That's not your job. If you can't even address your psychological needs, your psychological struggles, who are you to do this for someone else? If you can't hold yourself accountable for the ways in which you cope, what I mean by this is oftentimes when we are too afraid to work on ourselves, part of the way we cope through that fear is by looking for people projects. We look for the people who are hurting so we can lavish all our time, energy, attention, and effort on those people. And by the time we're done there, we're too exhausted to work on ourselves. That's a trauma response. And if you can't even address that trauma that's creating the trauma response, I don't know if you're needing to work on other people. I'm wondering if you're needing to work on yourself first. I'm wondering if this is a way for you to, again, avoid something that your life is trying to bring you to. It's a possibility. It's definitely a possibility. So, card number 29, creation, water. There's a need to cleanse ourselves with the waters of our peace. I was watching this. I don't even know why I was watching it. I was watching it while I was trying to figure out some cryptocurrency stuff. And it happened to be this thing of like something about the Mayans and Chichen Itza, and like sinkholes that eventually over time filled with rainwater and like became the water supply for Chichen Itza. And then it was this thing of like it was such a sacred water supply that they ended up doing like ritual sacrifices there, I guess like to appease the gods, and that water was cleansing them of their sins. I don't believe they believed in sins, but that's just a figure of speech that I'm comfortable using, I'm familiar with. Cleansing you of your sins, cleansing you of your perceptions of the wrongdoings, your perceived wrongdoings, which are they wrong, or are they just not in alignment with what society is demanding? Right? And maybe we're using society's logic and society's limitations to prevent us from really tapping into the potentials that we were born with, that are rightfully ours. Society doesn't accept me as I am. I don't play by society's rules. My religion, my upbringing, my culture, everything does not give me permission to be who I am. I'm not allowed to be different. I'm not allowed to have gifts or capabilities that other people don't already accept. I'm not allowed to use pieces of paper called cards um, to fine tune my intuitive sense. I don't have permission to be an amazing person. I don't have permission to allow what God gave me, the way God created me, to come through and serve as some sort of beacon of light for those who are fumbling through their dark period. And yeah, we each have our own light, but we go through these periods of darkness that prevent us from really tapping into our light. And then here comes Emmie, just this sparkling ray of sunshine. Energetically, not attitude wise. Sparkling ray of sunshine. I'm more like a spotlight. I'm more like a spotlight than I am like sunshine. This focused beam of clarity. And I'm realizing I gotta stop waiting for people to give me permission to be who I am. Like, this is literally who I am. And people who don't understand me, people who don't want to understand me, people who use society's edicts, um, societal standards to vilify me, um, yeah, no, that's their journey, not mine. You know, I don't need to explain myself to the people who are committed to not understanding me. It's okay. It's truly okay. It's okay for someone to believe that what I'm doing is wrong in these live streams because I have, again, pieces of paper in my hand, because somehow having pieces of paper with beautiful artwork on them to help fine tune the nuanced messages that I receive from my soul is somehow me communing with demons. You guys ever notice I don't invoke anything or set any intentions when I do cards? Why? I'm not working with anything outside of myself. Half the time, I don't even listen to Michael, and he's my personal guard. Half the time, I don't even listen to him. More than half the time, I'm like quietly reminding him, listen, you're the bouncer. You're just my bouncer. Stay in your corner and make sure nothing's coming at me. You're just my bouncer. Stop talking. Everything that I speak about comes from me, comes from my soul. And then I'm going to need to get to a point, which I'm kind of there already, almost kind of. I waver a little bit, where it's like when people say those things to me, their point of view that, oh my God, I'm doing something evil. What I'm doing is a sin and this and that. It's really them telling me in a unrecognized way, I see your power. It transcends human capabilities. You're entering into the realm of the angelic. Because what are demons? Angels. I'm not joking. They're fallen angels, but still angels. They weren't stripped of that title. So they're angels. And here's the thing: God, creation, however you want to refer to it, is omnipowerful, omnipresent. Isn't it religion that teaches us God created all things? that all things come from God. So if they have a problem with demons, which I do not commune with demons, I barely commune with my own higher self, please. I'm so antisocial, spiritually social, and socially social. I'm antisocial. I'm not communing with nothing outside of myself. And if they have a problem with demonic things, they really should file a grievance with God. Because if really demonic things are such an abomination, such a disrespect to God, who's the most powerful, most present, most knowing, why did God allow them to continue to exist? The road that you take to avoid the understanding that you need is the very thing that will lead you to understanding what you want to understand. Because that logic that I just shared, it makes no sense to me. I'm not necessarily averse to organized religion. I'm averse to that type of logic. So you're telling me to believe that God is omnipowerful, omnipresent, all knowing. But then there's this other being that was made by God, because everything comes from God, right? So there's this other being, a shaitan, and that shaitan challenges God and actually has gotten a foothold. But if God is the creator of all things and created shaitan, how is shaitan overriding the will of God? And if shaitan is not overriding the will of God, then God is somehow willing for things to happen. And then comes the question of good and evil. So are you saying God is evil? No, you're saying that. Are you saying, I'm not saying anything about God. I'm reiterating human perceptions regarding concepts we're being taught about God. For me, God is this essence. And we as human beings are the ones creating the definitions of good and bad, good versus evil. Someone once commented, I saw it the other day. Someone commented something like, you don't think it's evil when someone hurts someone else? Evil is a human perception. It's part of the human limited constructs that we create for ourselves in order to give polarity, in order to be able to juxtapose the differing polarities so that we can understand our placement between the two. So, Emmie, you're saying evil doesn't exist. I'm saying we are capable of creating and co-creating positively charged experiences and negatively charged experiences. There's no good or evil in those experiences. There is harnessed potential and wasted potential. What are you going to do with the circumstance you're presented? If you want to transcend, you're going to need to begin looking at it from a higher perspective. You have to begin releasing, shedding some of that human skewed perspective. Like, okay, so I don't identify as anyone's victim. I've had bad things happen to me in life. I've had things that are very, very negative, that are very destructive for most people. If they experience those things, it's probably going to be destructive for you. Do I identify as a victim? No. But Emmie, they victimized you. No, they helped me to learn something about myself that was very, very profound. That was too difficult for me to learn on my own. And so those with malicious intent were allowed to infiltrate into my life to further that lesson along. Whatever you choose to not learn in the classroom of light, you will be sent dark tutors to learn that in private times. Learning is learning is learning. Learning is learning is learning. And then you'll have the people who'll be like, oh, but Emmie, well then, are you okay with murderers? Do I look like I'm okay with murderers? Do you think I'm supporting that? Better yet, the better question is, we're talking about general terms, yet you go to this place of murder. What's going on with you psychologically? That's where your mind goes. I mean, maybe we need to address that first before we continue with a general loose type of topic. You okay? Are you okay? Because, like, see, when you're trying to have these conversations with people where it can really empower you and solidify your thoughts, your perceptions about your place within the world, about how the world might function, you'll come across people like this and they're distractions. Debating with people is a distraction. That's a human construct. It's nothing but bickering. No, Emmy, no, it's not like arguing. It's very intellectual conversation. Okay, what's the goal of the conversation when you debate? To prove that you are more right than the other side. It's a civilized argument. Did it achieve anything? Outside of giving you the sense that you're more right, did it achieve anything? Did it solve anything? Were there any solutions that were implemented? Well, no, we were busy debating. Okay, so it's a time waste. It's a time waste. Don't you think that if you were to be able to come to a group and, like, hey guys, you know what? This is what I was considering. I'm kind of like developing this theory for a potential solution that we can implement together. What do you guys think about this? Let me know if you see any flaws, any miscalculations. Like, do you see any ways to improve this? Not do you agree with me, but please see this with a different set of eyes so that I can see something that I'm not capable of seeing until you see it for me because you're that valuable to me. And then being able to actually hear that, hear what they have to say, hear what they see from a different set of eyes, and then making a decision like, I could totally see where you think that. I don't know if it would work though. I'm kind of running the figures through my head and I don't did you factor in this portion when you were considering that other option? Oh no, I totally forgot about that. Okay. So that's what I was thinking. Like with this component, that solution, that adjustment to the solution that you made, I don't know that it would work. Try factoring this in. And let's see what else you get. I mean, you know how powerful we would be as a people, if we could do that. If we could do that, that would be amazing. All of our problems would be solved. There would be no problems. There would be no problems. For every stage of development, you will encounter individuals who were positioned into that stage, that level, who are there to create the type of friction, restrictions, resistance that can amplify your forward trajectory. These are the people who serve as like a nozzle because that nozzle is restricting the flow of liquid energy, the water. What happens? Well, dependent on how that nozzle is designed, you can now have a pressure washer. Y'all, pressure washers. Oh my God. I really like them. I really like them. Like you could totally clean your driveway. Oh my God. I used a pressure washer for the first time a couple years back and I was like, holy crap. And I was pressure washing everything for hours. just in my Zen zone. These are the people who serve as the attachment that creates your energy, not creates, but transfers your energy into a pressurized stream. You know how far that can launch? This is about launching you into your purpose, not launching you ahead of others. That concept that we adhere to, we're like, I don't want to be above anyone else. Like, I want us all to succeed. Okay. It's not your place to dictate to someone else the level with which they will succeed. Let that sink in. Sip on that a little bit. Sip on that a little bit. It's a little sip. Let's take a little sip. Take a little sip. What am I trying to get at? When you continue with that logic of, I don't want to succeed past anyone else, I don't want to be placed above anyone else, you are still in that compete, compare program where you are comparing yourself to someone else and you are competing with who can play the smallest. No, Emmie, that's not what I'm doing. I just want everyone to win. Listen to yourself. Your positioning within society is dictated by how you're seeing everyone else and where they're positioned. No, that's not what I'm doing. It absolutely is what you're doing. Just because you're passive in that does not mean that's not what you're doing. Like passive aggressiveness. Just because you're passive aggressive doesn't mean you're aggressive. You're just manipulating that aggression to be experienced, viewed as passive aggressiveness. Yeah, no, it's still aggression. I'm more reactive to passive aggressive people than I am to outright aggressive people. Why? Because it's manipulative. At least outright aggressive people are being honest about how they actually feel in response to you. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. I saw this other video this morning, and this woman is talking about all these people who are really, really nice. However nice they are, they have equal depth of the opposing polarity of that. So if I'm like on a scale of 1 to 50, I'm at a level 50 of being nice. I promise you, I can reach a level 50 of being not nice. Mhm. So for me, people who are outright aggressive, for the most part, I'm really not scared of you. I'm just not. I'm not scared of you. You try something, I'll neutralize you. Whatever way I need to, I will neutralize you. From cutting you off to whatever I need to do, I will just do it. You're out. I'm good. People who are silent in their aggression, not even passive aggressive. I'm talking about full on silent in their aggression. People who are nothing but nice all the time. They scare me. I'm not joking. They scare me. They scare me. I will always be on my best behavior with them. I don't want you to be mad at me. I don't want you to be mad at me. And they're probably like, "Why? But I'm so nice." And I'm like, "That's why." Like, "What do you mean?" "I'm sure people have made you mad and you haven't released that." I don't want to be the one you take out. Like, when was the last time you were mad? 10 years ago? That's 10 years of accumulated rage raining down on me. I don't want to be the one you take it out on. Eventually, you're going to release that. I don't want to be there when you do because you scare me. People who are constantly angry and like just letting it out, like, you just angry, whatever. 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 You just, it's not necessarily built up. You got a lot of processing struggles. It's good, fine, whatever. I'm just out, you know, I'm out. But the really truly nice people who are never mean to anyone. Woo-hoo. I'm good. Card number 33, Heaven Sent. You know what's Heaven Sent? The next message. Card number 25, Release a Dark Wound and Let Love Live. This dark wound, I get this imagery of frostbite. You are in some sort of emotional, spiritual, energetic winter time, and you've become frostbitten. For those who don't understand what frostbite is, they're like, oh, so like you just got cold. No. After a certain temperature, cells will explode. Their membranes become damaged and they explode. So, what does that mean? Once you're frostbitten, if it's truly frostbite, you're losing that body part. And if you don't want to hear that, look up videos on frostbite. It's going to turn completely black because that part of you is now DEAD. Yeah. And there's no point in keeping that on there because at some point it will eventually break off. It will just break off. Oh my God. I saw a video yesterday. I nearly vommed. It was an EMT. It got me messed up still. So EMT was called to a private residence. It was an elderly man who had uncontrolled diabetes. So bad. Nervous laughter. He has uncontrolled diabetes, and I guess he had been bedridden for the past like maybe 5 days or something like that. And he hadn't been able to get out of bed. And so finally, I guess he had to call the EMT to come help him. So EMT came and he was in the bed and they're like, when was the last time you got up? And he was like, 5 days ago when I told you I got bedridden. And so he tells them he has diabetes. EMT, they have to check your legs and your feet and your hands if you have diabetes. Okay. They have to check because it compromises the blood flow to your extremities, your arms, legs, hands, and feet, especially fingers and toes. So they uncover the blanket. He has tube socks on. And the guy says, the EMT says, from his ankle on up, the sock is black, but the foot part is white. And he asks the man, hey, do you have two-tone socks on? He's like, no, my socks are white. And so the EMT says to the man, okay, I'm going to take your socks off to check your feet. As he pulled the sock off, the whole foot came off. Still in the sock. I can't. The whole foot came off in the sock. God. It traumatized the shit out of me. And I watched the video a couple more times like, no. I'm not understanding this right. And I looked for more videos on his profile where he's talking about it. My mother had raging diabetes, right? And when I took over her care for like the last maybe 7 months of her life, I used to totally get on her ass about everything. Like, listen. I used to get irritated. Do you want something to be amputated? She'd be like, She'd be asking for candy. Do you want something amputated? Is that what you want? He's like, no, I just want candy. You can have sugar-free candy, but I'm not getting you real candy. And she'd be like, oh, you're such a control freak and this and that. Listen, you see your toes? You already got a fungus toe. You got 2 fungus toes. And she'd be like, oh, you're just trying to shame me. No, mother. Let me take a picture because you can't see it. I would adjust her because she had a hospital bed, right? I would adjust her bed. So the back is sitting up. She's like sitting up. And then I would lift the legs up and she's, you're going to crush me. No, no. You need to see your toe. You need to see your, do you like your toe? Are you mad at your toe? Do you want to keep your toe? She's just like, okay, fine. Just give me sugar-free candy. I used to argue with her. And then I used to do full body massages every day to like really encourage the flow of blood, like really encourage vascular health. So I read that. I was like, oh my God. And then the video repeated what he wrote. I was like, oh my God. He literally lost the whole foot. Like, and then in another video, he goes on to explain like it was a really, really extreme case of like elder neglect. That traumatized the crap out of me. Like, wow. Because when I took care of my mom, I always made sure to have excess in supplies and I was purchasing it out of pocket because her insurance coverage didn't cover any of that. So I purchased everything out of pocket. I was getting all sorts of like different supplies. It's always in surplus. And she had a lot of medical professionals who would come to the house bi-weekly basis for like physical therapy, for nursing appointments, like all kind of different things. And all of them would consistently compliment me and be like, oh my God, I've never seen someone so loved. And like, I've never seen a family member take care of their disabled family this well. And I never quite understood, like, why wouldn't you? Like, I get that, you know, some people, most people probably wouldn't be able to have excess supplies like that. But like, I don't get what the big deal is. And they would always compliment. They would be like, wait, she has diabetes. Oh my God, her skin looks amazing. Her skin was glowing because I was moisturizing her all day, every day. Like, I took better care of her than she took care of herself during her lifetime. In that 7 months, I took better care of her than she took care of herself. And, you know, it kind of brought everything back home to me where it's like, wow, I truly avoided, because of my distorted thinking, I truly avoided seeing the full gravity of the effects of how I love on people. Like, for me, it's normal. That's like logical. It's expected. Like, if you can do it, do it. Why wouldn't you? But that's not shared by other people. And if I'm going to continue to base my perception of myself um, on that skewed, distorted perception, I'm never going to fully understand the gravity of who I am and the effects that I have on people. Like, literally, if I take care of someone who is terminally ill, my mom was in hospice when I came. She was in hospice. When I finally returned back to California, the reason I returned back was because um, one night, Michael woke me up as the sun was coming up in the morning. And then I was pulled out of my body. And then I was viewing myself sleeping on the bed. And then he told me to look at the newspaper that was beside the bed. And I'm like, I don't read newspapers. What the hell is that? And as soon as I picked it up and looked at it, it was my mother's obituary. And then he was like, "Are you sure you're going to be okay with this?" Because I had made a decision. I'm never coming back to California. And so he was like, "You sure you're okay with this? You're okay with that decision? Because, once it goes through, that's it. You can't take it back. You can't, live a different type of pathway." And I realized I wasn't okay with it. So then I reached out to my brother with a heart thing, and he's like, "No, she's doing really bad." And I was like, "Should I plan a vacation to come see her?" And he goes, "I don't think she has that kind of time." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "If you're going to see her, you need to leave right now. You need to leave today or you're not going to make it." I'm like, "What?" Mhm. Yeah. I don't remember the exact date on that obituary notice, but it was only several days away from that dream. I don't know. Maybe it's me kind of like skewing things, but that's what I remember. Like, she's going to die in a couple days. Like in a couple days. So I literally dropped everything and I rushed back to California. Yeah. She was in hospice already. She was less than 90 pounds, I want to say. Less than 90 pounds. And you couldn't even sit her up in her hospital bed. Her drop foot made her feet go like this. It was so bad. Her feet were stuck like this. You couldn't flex it back up. And in that time, gosh, I want to say a month after. No, actually, it's just a couple weeks. A couple weeks after I arrived, um, she was able to lift her feet up more. I got all sorts of contraptions to fix drop foot. I did everything I possibly could, and whatever I didn't know, I researched. And I was able to help her recover within a very short period, within about a month, to the point where she was then at maybe 110, 115 pounds. She recovered that much weight. She was regaining muscle mass. She was much more responsive. Her joint mobility was starting to return. Her range of motion was increasing. Everything, everything. To the point where her paralyzed left leg, they thought that it was non-functional anymore because she had a stroke before I left. Um, Her physical therapist was like, "What are you doing to her?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "There's actual muscle function. I can see and feel it firing up when she thinks about it." Like, I'm teaching her about mind muscle connection. Her well seasoned physical therapist, been a physical therapist for practically her whole life. At that point, yeah. She'd been a physical therapist for that long. She couldn't understand how my mother was regenerating function literally before her eyes. This is the only physical therapist that would come to her. In a month. We did this in a month. 3 weeks. I got her to the point where she could actually sit in a wheelchair. That had been the first time in possibly over a year since she'd been out of a hospital bed in an actual wheelchair. And it's not crazy. It's not beyond the norm. It's my norm. But just because it's my norm does not mean it's the norm for society. I need to begin the actual in real life process of accepting and exploring the profoundness that I call me. And that's a self love journey. What path have you been on that has helped you to avoid that depth of self love and self acceptance? What have you been telling yourself that has helped you to justify your lack of acknowledgement of how profound your life, your existence is for yourself and the people around you. There's still so much about me and my life and my capabilities that I'm learning to appreciate in a more proper manner. But just because I haven't reached a level of self appreciation, self acceptance that I believe I deserve, that I believe everyone deserves, does not mean I can just give up on that process. It doesn't mean that I can suddenly just be like, well, I'm never going to get it. I'm never going to do it. I'm never going to reach that place that I'm trying to reach. So let me just stop. You can't give up on yourself. And it's almost also this secondary message of there's someone out there that feels this about you, where for some reason they just can't give you up. That to let go of you is to give up on you. And that's not within their capabilities either. So they stay on the fringes of your life. They stay on the fringe. They maybe they're trying to be respectful. Maybe they're trying to be respectful of your space, your personal space. Um, I mean, for some, maybe it's someone you had a falling out with, and so they're just kind of like, oh, well, I don't want you to be upset with me, so I'm going to kind of stay away, but I can't fully stay away. So finding this balance in your life, understanding the value, the intrinsic value that you carry. This is not a value you have to earn. It's not a value attached to any type of like achievement that you've had. This is just a value you have because you exist. Whoever this person is for you, they see the gravity of that value. They see beyond what anyone else in your life has been able to see. Now, granted, this is a very specific message. It's not going to apply to everyone. Okay. But to those of you that it applies to, that's a very profound thing to be able to be witnessed as you are and not just tolerated, but deeply accepted. That's profound. This woman is back again. Who the hell is Cody? Cody is a male. I'm assuming a Caucasian male because she says something about my child. That's her child. She still doesn't show me her face, and her hands look like either she's white passing or she's actually white. She points out her nails. They look long but not dragon lady long. They're tastefully they're tastefully done. Yes. They're tastefully done. They're like in a neutral color, almost like a shimmery neutral color, like a pale champagne color. Um I don't know what she wants. She's just mentioning a Cody again. I don't know. Until you show me your face. Until you show me your face, give me your name. Um I kind of don't want to hear anymore. I'm sorry because that's rude. I know, but you don't think it's rude to continue to enter my space uninvited and interrupting my reading. It's okay. She didn't realize. She didn't I'm not mad at her. I'm just saying like it's just frustrating me because if you're only going to give me half the information and then you pressure me as though I need the full information in order to properly assist, then that's going to frustrate me. She goes, it's not all or nothing. Well, clearly it is for me. I don't function half-assed, ma'am. It literally is all or nothing for me. Like literally all or nothing. It's either I'm going to really actually help you and actually find your son. Like I will literally look for your son. I think that's what she wants. No. You got to give me a name more than a Cody because there's probably millions of Codys in this world. That like in this country, different country, in revenge and in love, woman is more barbaric than man. It's time to be careful. Think of what might manifest over anger, bitterness, or revenge. What you have worked so hard for may collapse. Astrologically, this represents soul expansion and cosmological awareness, the force and aloneness and the path of the individual. Black Moon Lilith is a dark goddess. She's a ghost to the moon. As a shift in power and consciousness, she symbolizes destruction before creation. The name Lilith means screech owl or night hag. Hold on. I want to see the actual definition of a hag. I think whoever this Cody is dealing with a hag. Hold on. Define hag. Like a hagfish? A witch, especially one in the form of an ugly old woman. Okay. A hag is a wizened old woman or a kind of a fairy or a goddess having the appearance of such a woman, often found in folklore. Hansel and Gretel. Are you just being disparaging or is it like an actual hag? Evil looking woman. Evil powers. Tell me your name. What is your name, Cody's mom? So I'm looking up the definition of hag, right? Has to mean something else other than like what my mind goes to. And I'm scrolling through the search. And she goes, that one, that one. She takes me to urbandictionary.com. An unattractive middle-aged woman. The term is commonly used to describe hysterical or ugly women in positions of power. So, an unpleasant or cruel one. Okay. So I assume what you're saying is someone is being a hag to your Cody. I don't you got to give me actual instruction. I don't like this conversation stuff because I got a feeling that your Cody does not want public discussion about this. I don't know why I feel that way. All right. Anyways, let's see. Lilith is a feminine force of command and strength. She represents the powers we hold in secret. So, kind of piggybacking on the message for Mr. Cody. Um, there's someone who's serving as a dark moon Lilith in your life where they've been given far too much control in say in your life, in your decisions, in what you are able to do, what you're not able to do. And it's a sense of like manipulative power where maybe they're not outright telling you what to do. So you can't be like, stop telling me what to do. But it's kind of like, are you sure you want to do that? Yeah, biznatch. I'm sure I want to do that. What you gonna do? She likes when I say that. She's like, "You have to protect him." Oh, well, I don't know, though. I don't know, ma'am. Ma'am. So you have I don't know. Whatever. When this card turns up in a reading, something lurks. Lilith appears as a dark part of the astrological chart. She is our shadow side, the dark face of the moon where mysteries and unexplained occurrences lie in wait. This card indicates a call to wildness, even subversion. Lilith is the evocation of what may or may not be there. She can manifest as madness or self realization. Lilith represents a refusal to submit, so it's not a good time to give in, even when the path seems a rough one. So if you are, like a Cody, what does this even mean? Uh, I hear the name Cody and I think of that. I don't know if that's like a music producer, Coda. Yeah. Um, there may be a tendency to isolate and focus on feelings of revenge. The hallmark of Black Moon Lilith energy is muteness and aloneness. It's a subdued power and complicated magnetism. Lilith remains awake while the rest of the world is asleep. She is the dark thoughts that enter our consciousness just before we fall asleep. She's also a succubus. Lilith is also said to be the mother of the succubus, the succubi, and the incubus. You have a feeling you are waiting for something to happen, but you don't have the entire information, so the facts are hidden or mysterious. Something stalks, you feel it, but Lilith is sharp. She knows, she senses, she processes what is there. So I'm wondering if what's going on is for the Codys of the world, okay? This woman is still here. For the Codys of the world, are you kind of feeling like it's time to kind of maybe sort of walk away from something? But there's a lot of intimidation being presented. There's a lot of this and that and yada, 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 and complicated connections, entanglements, and all this other stuff. And you're just basically trying to find yourself. Like you feel like you've lost a piece of yourself. And there's a presence in your life that continues to attempt to dictate to you who you actually are. But are they accurate? Is what they're saying accurate? Or are they basing their assessment of who they think you are to be part of who they need you to be, who they want you to be, who you have to be in order for them to continue to receive what they want from you? If that is communication, company, maybe finances, maybe this or that. Moonrock, do you know who this is? Because this woman says, listen to Moonrock, and you put billions, and it's almost this sense of like, it's almost a sense of like financial investments that maybe it was your idea, some type of investment, some type of idea. Maybe it's your idea, but this other person is the financial component of it. They had the funds to be able to invest into what your idea was. And that's how it became entangled. There's no clear owner of this, whatever this is. I don't know. And that's what makes it difficult to untangle. I don't know. I think I'm reaching. I'm just trying to understand because this woman is still here. So, card number 34, Arcturian activation. It's time to allow the healing. It's time to really, truly allow yourself to heal. And sometimes part of the healing requires that you remove the things that are preventing the healing. How can you properly heal if you allow a splinter to remain. You're going to consistently feel that pain in that area every time that splinter is moved just a little bit, touched or whatever, right? Um, it's a removing of the splinter. I think it's kind of like related to the frostbite because that's the imagery that comes to mind. It's like it can't actually heal until you amputate all of that, right? Um, but I didn't want to say frostbite again because that's a pretty gross visual. Um, yeah, oh look, healer. So like I don't, I'm wondering if this is like a trauma bond that's been formed with someone. Like you both experienced trauma, maybe both experienced some sort of loss, and then came this thing of, well, we're destroyed together. So that's a call for us to be together. And maybe that's what it was for a while. Maybe you needed that. Maybe they needed that for a while. Or a short while, long while, I don't know, whatever. A while. Because there's times where the trauma bond um is the thing that helps to keep us afloat when all we want to do is sink into our sadness, into our depression. So I'm wondering if for one of you, um, probably you're done with a trauma bond, and you need to actually bond in a healthy, balanced, um, reciprocal way. Reciprocal reflection, the laws of reciprocal reflection. So, laws of reciprocal reflection dictate that anything that exists on the surface of the earth will reflect the inner core energies of the earth. So, in areas where there are suspected, alleged, subterranean, nefarious, malicious, malignant um, species occupying subterranean dwellings, that region of the earth has a tendency to have uh, a reflection, a reciprocal reflection of that subterranean species intentions. If you want to read more on that kind of stuff, you should look up, gosh, hold on, let me find his name. Um, Credo Mutwa, Zulu shaman. Yeah, Credo Mutwa, Vusumala Zulu, Vusamazulu, Credo Mutwa. Oh, he just passed last year. It was a Zulu Sangoma from South Africa. um, yeah, he had this talk about um things that he experienced and knew as like a spiritual leader in his region. But there's a lot of like very distorted energies in that region as a part of the history of that region and those peoples. um it's been a very very difficult journey of progression and evolution, especially in South Africa. This is very painful, very very painful. um and that's the thing, it's time to heal beyond that though. If you're going to be nothing but a reflection of the toxicity you're existing on top of, that's going to continue to cycle around and just be this never ending perpetual suffering, so we have to begin adjusting first from the outer core and then allowing those adjustments to enter into the inner core. So fluidity, outer core, and then flowing towards the inner core. I've seen some stuff he was talking about, very interesting. Yeah, he talks about really, really interesting stuff. I believe he was interviewed years ago and he talked about a subterranean humanoid race, humanoid species that were described as basically reptilian. So, card number one, after the storm, you've been through a lot. You and your cross watcher have been through so much. Okay. So much. And part of what needs to happen is you need to begin allowing yourself, really just allowing yourself to go beyond what you think you're capable of reaching in regards to healing. Okay. This is his name. Um, yeah. Mm, hold on really quick. What? They closed his website. Okay. Card number two, inner trust. You have to trust yourself and where your soul is leading you. It's guiding you towards a place of um, healing both the outer core and the inner core and the spaces in between. You're going to go through these fluctuations. You're going to experience questions. You're going to experience all sorts of different things. It's up to you how you're going to experience those things. And then someone would probably question, like, how is it up to me? I didn't choose to be this way. I didn't choose to have this struggle or pain. Actually, you made a decision at some point in your journey that was the root causation of the effect that you're now living through. So in some ways you unknowingly chose this, but we have to go beyond that. Existing in a place of blame is not going to help you. It's not going to empower you. Instead of blaming, allow yourself to really assess, what decision was it? Why did I choose that particular option? How long ago was it? What was happening in my life at that point? Did I make that decision out of vindictiveness? Did I make that decision out of desperation, sadness, loneliness, all sorts of different emotions and thought processes that create a deficit within your space? When you are operating from a place of deficit, you're obviously going to naturally look for a way to correct that. If you're not cognitive of this process, some of the solutions you might implement will be nothing but a placeholder for more deficit. You'll feel more depleted in time. At first, yeah, that huge gaping hole that someone left behind when they walked out of your life, oh my gosh, that was devastating. And so when someone else comes and takes that place, now you guys are trauma bonded, and so now they have that place within that hole. um it displaced temporarily that sense of emptiness, right? You've been distracted for a little bit. You've been able to not feel so empty. But after a while, you're going to realize, like, oh my god, that's a foreign body. That's now some sort of like a splinter. And what was once filling this sense of a void is now the very thing that's irritating you, that's preventing the healing. I don't know what you need to do. I don't know if it's time to end a friendship, end a relationship, end a business partnership, end a living situation, end a business situation. I mean, this could apply to so many different things. It could totally apply to so many different things. Um, you're going to have to assess, does this message even resonate with you? Is it for you? Or are you just hearing this in advance because maybe at some point down the road, you're going to have to make a decision about something? Again, it's not always about romance. It's not always about romance, but at some point, you're going to need to make a decision about something. And so you're kind of already, your soul is planting some seeds for you. And those are the seeds that are going to grow into the plants that will sustain you, that will help to nourish you as you try and get healthy again. So, card number 36, 12th house escape. Oops. The lunatic, the lover, and the poet are of imagination all compact. It's time to get on point. It's not a time to ignore or overlook what's there. Things may get fragmented. The 12th house of the zodiac is the most mesmerizing of all the houses. Mysticism, dreaming, drowning, vast seas, and surrendering all are themes that belong to this house of self undoing. So that's what's going on. It's the undoing of the self that you have tried to live up to based on someone else's standards, expectations of you, whether they were spoken expectations or they were implied. It's this sense of obligation. A life of obligation is not living. It's not. It's just really not. And I think maybe you're getting to a point where your soul actually wants to feel alive again. It's not enough to simply have a companion. It's not enough for someone to simply occupy space beside you. Or maybe on the flip side of that coin, it's not enough to simply work on that self-love journey because maybe you're tired of being alone. Maybe you've already gone through what you need to go through to prove to yourself that you're capable of being alone, that you're capable of healing yourself, addressing whatever within you needs to be addressed. And now you're entering into this other part of your journey where it's not that you're desperate to be with someone, it's that you want to experience a partnership from this new vantage point of spiritual development. Because at this point, I mean, if you've gotten to that high of your spiritual evolution, your consciousness expansion, awareness expansion, um what ends up happening is when you get into another relationship, a romantic one, um it'll transcend all the relationships you've had before. It'll be something completely different than what you've had in the past. Maybe all your soul is wanting right now is to experience a new type of partnership, right? So, it's also the place in the chart where we lapse in our judgment and make bad choices. Like the sign of Pisces that rules it. Y'all feel attacked. I feel kind of attacked. Like the sign of Pisces that rules it, the 12th house falls at the end of the zodiac, which indicates a type of passage or rebirth. This house contains the meanings of all the signs and planets and all the other houses within it. The 12th house stands for the all. So I'm wondering if this is that all or nothing. Like you want the full experience or you want nothing at all. Like it's again, it's not enough to simply have someone by your side, either in business, in romance, as family. It's not enough anymore. We want something more. And it's okay to want more. You'll come across people who will tell you you don't have permission to want more out of life. That's okay. They can have that as their goal. They can use that as their spiritual trajectory while you go ahead and continue to recalibrate your perception of what you want, what you need. Okay? Decide for yourself. Even though astrologers refer to the 12th house as the gutter or garbage dump of the zodiac, it is still distinct in its meaning. Evolved souls and the doomed live here. Could it be that the evolved souls that live here feel like they're doomed because Earth sucks? Just saying. Within the 12th house are the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows. Um, Imagination, linking up and connecting to the unknown are all facets of the 12th house. It's where the material and non physical worlds connect. It's both the beginning and the end. Well, if you want to begin something new with someone else, you have to first and what's currently happening in your life. Know what I'm saying? Y'all, this is my personal opinion. Um, yeah, no, if someone is with someone else, That's not something to consider. If they really wanted you, they would respect you enough to go ahead and respect what they're currently in. Let people show you how they will treat you, not just in the beginning when things are amazing and you're in that honeymoon phase. Let them show you how they would treat you and cherish you as their current relationship is ending. If they can't treat their current relationship that's maybe ending, okay, maybe it's time for it to end. If they can't treat that with respect, with dignity, I don't think they'll do that with you either. Don't you deserve more than that? Don't you want to be told, "Hey, my feelings have changed. I kind of am exploring a life without you, a life outside of this relationship, so maybe we should end things." Um, yeah, I would rather have that. I would really much rather have that than just thinking that everything is going fine, being oblivious to things, and then one day finding out that you created a completely different life without me. That would suck. That would suck. That's a very undignified way to experience an ending. And the reality is, I can't guarantee how long someone will want to remain by my side. But I'd like to at least have the reassurance that if I'm willing to take a chance on you, if at some point that's going to end, allow it to end with dignity. Have compassion for me and how deeply I feel for people. Leave me with my dignity intact when you walk away. So would I ever, if hypothetically, if I was single, would I ever consider someone that's in a relationship? No, nope, no. Well, what if their relationship is almost done? Almost doesn't count to me. It doesn't count. It doesn't count. Well, what if he told me that the relationship was done and he's just like taking his time to move out and find his own place? Okay, well, let's go ahead and take your ex to lunch. Let her tell me that. People will be like, oh my God, you're so crazy. No, because remember, I'm only interested in this hypothetical situation. I'm only interested in people who carry within them the type of character where, should what we are going to build eventually end, that you're going to leave me with my dignity intact. And that's that. That's that. That's that. And if you can't, if you don't have it in you to go to lunch with the two of them, because that's a little bit like excessive, right? Um, maybe she has social media. Maybe you could friend request her. I'm not talking about like, sneaking around and stalking people online. That's ugly. Don't be that kind of person. That's ugly. I'm talking about really establishing some sort of connection. Like, hey, I just wanted to introduce myself. Maybe observing for a little bit. Like, is she posting nothing but wounded dove type content? Like, oh my God, he did me so dirty. And because really, though, I want to be reassured that if at any point what we are about to create together ends, that you will leave me with my dignity intact. far too often I see people who create this content on social media, whatever platform, and they're talking about, "Oh, my ex is so wicked and so evil, and, like, they did this, this, and this to me." I'm seeing firsthand from someone that I know, there's a potentiality they're lying. There's a potentiality that they're lying. For real. There's this former friend of mine. He's venting on social media about, relationship problems and stuff. And he kept messaging that I need to look at it. I need to look at it. And I'm just like, I'm fucking good. Just keep venting. Like, whatever you need to tell me straight up. Just vent on there. I don't need to see none of that. And then one day I looked and I was like, what is this bullshit? What the hell are you doing? This is not venting. You are trying to publicly humiliate your partner. That's disgusting. And you know, what ended up happening was I needed to know. Like, you involved me in this shit. I was minding my own business. Now I need to know because your partner is actually my homie. That's how we know each other. So now I need to know. Gut is never wrong. Lying ass sack of shit. And no, she didn't just like say stuff. I was just like, hey, I just want you to know I love you. I truly love you. I see the truth of who you are. And I'm just around. I'm around. I just love you. And that's it. That was it. That was it. I don't need to go on this campaign of bashing someone and that's it. And then eventually more of the truth came out in private conversations and more of the truth. I knew it. I knew it. I know you. I know your heart. You're not a perfect person, but I know your heart. You're one of the most amazing, most loving people I know. None of this feels right. None of what's being said about you feels right. None of it feels accurate because it wasn't. Don't be so quick to believe all of these things that someone else is saying about someone else. Don't be one of those people. Start thinking for yourself. When someone comes to you to talk caca about someone else, ask yourself first, why? Why? Why are they talking caca about you? Oh, about someone else? Are they trying to get you to talk caca about that person too? Why? Like, why are you saying all of this? Like, it doesn't involve me. Why are you telling me this? And honestly, when someone comes to me and says, "Hey, um, gosh, I don't like drama, but someone's talking caca about you. They're saying this, this, and this." Why are they saying that? I don't know, but I'm not lying, and then they send you the screenshots, right? Where's your part? Where's your responses to this? How come it's just what they're saying? Oh, let me rephrase that. Why do they feel so comfortable talking caca about me to you? You say or do something that made them feel Like it would be okay to talk caca about me to you? Because usually that's what's happening. Yeah, usually that's what's happening. They've probably both been talking caca about you to each other. And then, when people have that type of personality, they eventually don't get along and they eventually talk caca about each other to other people. And then I promise you, when it gets back to the other person, oh, now the other person, I'm going to tell Emmy. Don't tell me. I don't want to know. People can say whatever they want to say. I live my truth. I don't wait for my truth to be said by other people. And that's just that. Yeah. Creation of flying monkeys. I mean, is that all you want to be? Someone's flying monkey? You got to make decisions. You have to make decisions for you and your health, your internal peace, allowing yourself to become very, very comfortable in your most authentic state. People don't do that anymore. They don't message me anymore to tell me people are talking caca about them. People who are concerned and want to protect um, my business and my assets. Yeah, no, sometimes they'll let me know, like, hey, I saw this, and this. I want to make sure that you're aware so that if you need to do something, you're aware. Um, but they're not talking caca about anyone. They're just like informing on a business level. Those are things I probably need to be aware of to make sure that I don't need to take actual business actions, right? But I no longer have anyone anywhere near the periphery of the outermost perimeter of my life who would feel comfortable talking to me about someone else. Like, no, I don't do that. I no longer have people trying to add me to group chats where all they do is talk about other people. I'm good off that. I'm good off that. I'm just so good off that. And I think a lot of that stopped not because I was fighting with people, but because there was never any reward to it. Most importantly, because that's just one component, right? Most importantly, the most important component to removing this from your life is no longer being apologetic for not wanting this in your life to begin with. Because before I was still apologetic, I felt like, well, maybe people are just venting. I don't want to be seen as someone that's antisocial, girlfriend, but you are. No, my old doctor had told me years ago when I was still, I think I was like 19 or 20 or something like that. She said to me, "Oh, you're not antisocial. You're socially selective." Yes. She goes, "Clearly, you know how to socialize. You know how to articulate. You're very good at that. You just choose not to." Yes. Because social selectivity has saved me from so much BS. So much BS. The frequency in the room. How are your guys' ears? My ears are suddenly like I feel like I'm having an issue. 1 second. It's almost like someone turned on some sort of frequency machine that's like whop whop whopping. Whap whap whapping. Oh, here it is. Okay, card number 36. So I read that linking up, connecting to the unknown are all facets of the 12th house. It is where the material and non-physical worlds connect. It's both the beginning and the end. The 12th house offers bliss, spiritual fulfillment, the meeting up with twin flames. fucking card. The meeting up with twin flames, it promises of losing yourself in some beautiful other, but it might be like trying to hold on to a cloud. This house of poetry and oceans is enchantment. It's where we lie to ourselves as well. This house also represents water, toxins, poisons, perfumes, candles, hidden chambers, secreted desires, Christ consciousness, and martyrdom. Wow. That's a mouthful. Is your water toxic? Have you been allowing your waters to be polluted by someone else who's toxic? Like there's times, I don't expect my husband to be perfect, but I think low key do. I don't know. Um, there's times where his Gemini attitude comes out. I've identified it as a Gemini struggle. There's some Gemini struggles that be happening, and then it just like will irk the hell out of me because it feels toxic to me. And he's not really doing anything. It's just my perception of it. And so I'll speak up. I'm like, you're toxic. And I'd be like, what am I even doing? Being toxic. It's not every day, okay? It's not every day. But like, for example, he's gotten a lot better with his road rage. A lot better. But I'm kind of at a point where I'm so sensitized. I don't even want to hear you breathe deep and talk caca under your breath. I don't want to be in the car with that. I want peaceful. Peaceful. It makes me feel really ill when people are like that around me. It makes me feel really, really ill. And so I'll say something. And because he's not actually a full-on toxic person, at first he's going to be like, what are you even talking about now? And then he'll see how much it's bothering me, like the emotions of it. And then he'll modify that. He'll modify it and he'll be like, okay, so let me just. And I can deeply appreciate that because when you are an empath, a highly sensitive empath, when you are a Piscean, those types of things really, really will affect you. It will create a lot of toxicity within yourself because then I'm now reactive to his reactivity. Now I'm pissed off. Now I'm huffing and puffing. Now I'm talking low key caca under my breath. I don't want to be like that. So then we have to remove whatever that source of toxicity is, whether it's his distorted feelings towards someone cutting us off, or like this perception of we're running late for something when really we have nothing we're running late for. That has to be corrected. It has to be mitigated. Sometimes people will be a part of your life and they will exist overly perfumed. Okay. Where they're overly sweet. They're overly accommodating. They're overly this and overly that. And it always has stuck with me. This thing that my grandma said to me years ago when I was a kid. You can't cover up your stink by putting on more perfume. Go take a shower and go wash your clothes. She was talking to my cousin. Because Victoria's Secret came out with like, I know it's showing my age. That's fine. This was a time when Victoria's Secret first came out with Pear Glacé. And then like, you remember those scents, right? Tranquil Breezes, Cucumber Melon. So she totally like, y'all need to wash your clothes and take a shower. Because you just kept layering on more body spray. Jesus, Mary, Joseph, 3 wise men, all the animals in the manger and out in the field. I'm just saying, okay, don't try and hide any toxic parts of you. I'm not encouraging you to put it on showcase, but stop trying to hide it. Instead, work on what is identified as toxic by you. What you have identified as the toxic parts of you, they need your attention. Correct it. That's it. You don't have to hide it. You don't have to, you know, be a fragrance hoe. I have family members who are fragrance hoes. That's a literal term that I created just now. And it's this thing of like, just don't be it around me because I'm super sensitive to fragrance and toxicity. So, okay. The 12th house tells us to forget about ourselves and live for others. No, no. No, no, no. No, no, no. You can let people have their rightful place in your life as a component of your growth, as a component of your journey, but you're not living for them. You're not living for them. Stop it right there. Stop it right there. That is not love. That is codependency. That is toxic psychology. That is a trauma bond. That's all sorts of negativity, martyrdom, manipulation, all of that. No, no, no. I have a very strong connection with my husband because I do not live for him. I choose to travel with him because I know I can still have my own existence and I'm not completely consumed by, oh, I need to keep him around. I need to keep him around. He's not irritated by me. You want to know how you bag a Gemini? Leave them the F alone. Someone once asked me that, like, how do you get a Gemini to fall in love with you? Let them think they're chasing you, when in reality, you're just really leaving them the F alone. If I have a free time today, I will see you. If I don't, maybe tomorrow or next week. I'm really not tripping. Oh, but what if he finds someone that he chooses instead of me? Okay, then that's who he's supposed to belong with. It's no biggie. It's no biggie. It literally is no biggie. There's billions of people in this world. You will be okay. You will be okay. The moment you begin living for someone, I mean, outside of my children, I live for my children because they are components of me. They are an extension of my life, and their children are components of me. They carry on the essence of me even after I'm long gone. So in reality, I'm still living for me. Allowing yourself to be independent in that way. And it's not to say like, I ain't tripping if my husband leave or go. No, I will be sad. I will really miss the dynamic that we have. I will. I value this man, but he's not imprisoned by me. He's not my life support. He makes my life a lot easier. Yes, yes, he does. He does a lot for me. Does he have to? Is that a requirement for this to work? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That just happened. That's the way he shows his love. I'm very lucky in that sense. That is the way he shows his love to me. Why is that the way he shows his love to me? Because we have worked together long enough to really get to know each other. And he knows that's my love language. And I know his love language is buying him things. I'm just saying. His love language is me sniffing him. Wrapping myself all around him. What? And that might be my love language too. But that's the thing. We don't take the time to get to know who we are and then take the time to let someone else get to know who we are. We expect 20, 30 years worth of commitment to knowing each other and growing together to happen in the first few months because we watched a movie. We expect an entire lifetime of spiritual and awareness, evolution, and expansion to happen in the course of a year because we took a program. When I put it in those like very blunt terms, does it make sense? Does it make sense to you? Do you feel like you've been fair to yourself? Do you feel like you've been very loving to yourself? Because there's many of us that do this type of thing, have this type of logic, and then we're like, oh no, I'm totally doing the self-love thing. Are you? Are you sure it's self-love? If you're I mean, I could have sworn I just heard you say, like, I should be further than this. I should already have blah blah blah. I don't think that's a self-love thing. And yeah, no, I've done that too. I've found myself saying that and thinking that and feeling that. Like one year, um, before my account was freaking scrubbed off the Facebook servers, they didn't just disable my account, they literally scrubbed it off the entire server as though it never existed. So every single message and post and share and all of that, gone. You couldn't even look up old conversations that we had. Like literally everything was gone, like it never was sent. And so that account got taken away. And all those connections were also taken away. And I found myself maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years later, looking back because I stumbled across the work of someone that I had established some sort of connection with, like interactions with, sharing esoterica with, like bouncing thoughts off of each other. And I saw how much progress they had made, the size of their audience, and the amount of interactions. So it wasn't necessarily this thing of like, I'm jealous because their sub count and no, 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 no. No, it's like, wow, all of these people are being exposed to the profound gravity of your brain. Like, you have the most profound thoughts. Wow. You're leaving a mark. You're affecting people's lives. Look at all these shares. Look at all these comments. These people being so beautifully affected by the way you see the world, that they're sharing it. And it was like, and then it was like, well, wait, I remember several years back before we lost touch, like we had these conversations where we have the same trajectory, the same purpose. You've done the work and I haven't. While you were working, I was slacking off by hiding myself, by not sharing my thoughts, by keeping everything so superficial, like not sharing the gravity of what I really think beneath the surface, not sharing the difference of opinion that I have with the average person, not allowing the truth of me to be seen. And when you juxtapose the two, it's not a competition. I don't want to do more than them, but it's this really tangible evidence of how much I've been fighting my own path, my own purpose, my own process, my own divinity. And that made me really, really sad. Really, really sad. And it made me sad because I understood finally all I had to do was just be me. Why couldn't I love myself to that degree where it was okay for me to just be me? Why did I have to play this role of, you know, being less than just to make people feel comfortable with my existence when in reality they were never meant to be comfortable with me? See, here's the thing. if the place where you exist is a painful place and you become comfortable with that pain, you begin to no longer identify it as pain. You begin to identify it as your norm, your environment, your home. So, was I supposed to fit in? Or was I supposed to stand outside of that confined space, that painful, confined existence, so that you could see, oh, wait, how come she's standing over there? She's not in a box. Wait, do we even need to be in boxes? No, you don't. You don't. Has nothing to do with, oh, because she's powerful. We're all powerful. Oh, but we're not powerful like you, Emmie. That's because you're not Emmie. I'm not powerful like you because I'm not you. Is that to say I'm more powerful than you? Not at all. Not at all. It is to say we each carry a different purpose. And our power is based on what our actual divine purpose is in this life. Someone whose divine purpose is to help others medically heal will be more gifted in their medical understanding and application of that medical knowledge. Someone who is existing to assist people with the legalities of this existence we call human life, they'll be that much more capable of understanding and applying law. Should the doctor feel less than because they don't understand law like a lawyer? Is the lawyer less in their field of profession than the doctor because, I mean, they don't know medical stuff? Do they need to know medical stuff in their legal profession? Well, if they're dealing with medical tort, yeah, you need to know some medical stuff, right? So, um, you know what bothers me? I'm 55, never married, no kids. And when people say you've never been married, you have no kids? I'm like, well, no, geez. You know, when I was like in my early 20s and I let people know that I was pregnant, you're going to have a baby? Oh my God. But you're so young. And you don't know what I'm capable of. And over the years, these people were like, oh my God, she got pregnant. Can you believe that? They're the same people who kissed my ass because they realize the way I parent my children is profound. Profound. And now, so I remember I went to Peru like a couple of years back, right? And I had a private tour guide with me and my travel companion, and we're just like chatting with him and stuff, and we're in the car, and at that time all my clothes were like a size 0, so I was skinny AF. And because I was skinny AF and not eating any kind of sugar, I looked like I was maybe in my mid-20s. No. I'm about 40. So the tour guide is a very, very nice person. And I think what happened was my travel partner was like, have you called your kids yet? I was like, I'm really missing them. And she was like, have you called them? You should call them. And I told her, I'll call them when I get back to the hotel. I'll FaceTime them. And the tour guide was like, oh, you have a kid? And I was like, yeah, I have a lot of kids. And he's like, how many? And I told him, he's like, you have that many kids? Yes. I have that many kids. What do you mean? And He's like, "Oh, you had them as a teen?" "No." "How old do you think I am?" "Thought I was in my mid-20s." "No." "I had them in my 20s." And he still had a hard time believing. He's like, "Oh, so you adopted them?" "No. They all came from me. I cooked them all in my belly, and then they traversed my vaginal canal." "Yes." And he's just I think at that point he realized I was getting irritated, and he changed the subject. But it's like people will continue to have their perceptions. There's never anything right. "Oh, you don't have any kids? Oh, shit, you have so many kids." You know, my mom once told me when I let them know I was pregnant with my youngest, she's like, "Can you just let someone else have kids for once? You don't have to make it your job to repopulate the whole world." "I think you need to go home now." I was so pissed off. I was so pissed off. It's like, how you gonna say that kind of stuff to me? You know I'm sensitive because I'm pregnant. Mhm. Mhm. And it wasn't necessarily that she was talking shit, okay? I wanna make this very, very clear. My mother was just a very blunt person in her truth, her honesty. And she was saying that from a place of she sees her daughter as a ridiculously intelligent woman who has been groomed her entire life to be ridiculously successful in the medical field. She knew every time I have a child, I will devote my entire existence to you for at least the first 2 years. I will literally carry you everywhere. Literally everywhere. I will carry you. You will be tied to me, physically wrapped on me. And to her, it's like, stop having kids so that you can finally be free to go back to school and finish medical school and be this medical professional. That was never my path. It was never my path. It was never my path. I was not meant to do that. And honestly, every time I considered, like seriously began looking at matriculation, looking at how many units I have, where to matriculate to, who has, better programs, better admission rates, and yada, 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 I would literally find myself pregnant again. Yes. The final time I got pregnant, excuse me, if I remember right, I was finishing up a semester with UC Berkeley because I was going to go ahead and push through and actually get a medical degree. That's not my journey. That's not for me. And when people have these preconceived notions of where my life is supposed to go, I'm sorry that you're going to be disappointed. That's not where I'm going. I will go far in life. It has to be my way and it has to be on my path. And no one else can dictate that. Not even me. That's decided by my soul. And that's that. I'm at a point where I'm going to trust my soul over everyone else's opinions of where I need to be, who I need to be, all of this and all of that. Let me check my cryptocurrency. Did this bitch go up? Let me just, girl. Woo, bitches. Okay. What I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Don't buy more. Leave it alone. Okay. 12th house escape. So when this card comes up in a reading, something is amiss. There's something about the situation you're unsure about, or at least are not privy to. All is not as it seems. So I think this is going back to whoever that cross watcher is for you. It's going back to them. They're going through something that you're not aware of. You know what I mean? Maybe you don't need to be aware. Maybe you don't need to be aware. Um, let's see. Without information, it's difficult to move forward. The signals you're getting are probably wrong ones. The medical tests you've just had, the diagnosis is not likely accurate. What seems obvious right now is only a mirage or obscured. Ooh. Okay. The warning with this card is not to look to others for fulfillment or to give to others to give you your purpose, at least not in the current phase. It's either the incorrect time to attempt this or you are looking to the wrong crowd. See what I'm saying? It's reiterating what I had just said. At the end of the day, Emmie's right. Emmie is accurate. She is the truth. She is right. I'm joking. No, but seriously, it's reiterating what I was just saying about not allowing other people to be the ones to dictate what path you're supposed to be on, what purpose you're supposed to serve, when you're supposed to arrive, how that journey is going to take place. No one gets a say in that. Honestly, not even the human aspects of you. Only your soul is deciding these things. It's your soul. Go through the process that you need to go through to begin really trusting your soul. I'm going to buy more crypto. I got to trust my soul. I'm just saying. I got to trust my soul. Card number 30, judgment. You need to be able to judge whatever situation you're in. You need to be able to judge the people who enter into your stratosphere. Into your stratosphere, okay? It is not okay for you to deny that you have the ability to judge someone else's intentions. You can feel it. You can literally feel it. When you deny yourself your right, your sovereign right to use your judgment, you are completely blocking your ability to discern. This is all semantics, yo. It's all semantics. Oh no, don't be judgmental, but use discernment. They're one and the same. They're one and the same. What that was a little irritated, wasn't it? Justified irritation. Just burn some sage. We don't want to enter into that angry. Did you see that? We don't want to enter into that angry state. I'd be getting irritated. Did you see what it did? That was crazy. Let's just, there you go. Breathe it in. Take a big whiff. No. 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 Okay. So what you should not do is be using condemnation. Okay. Do not condemn people just because you don't agree with them, just because you have a difference in opinion, a difference in purpose, a difference in expression of your gifts. We don't need to condemn people. We need to make judgments. Are you toxic for me? Are you healthy for me? Should you be in my life right now? Should I trust my soul to allow you to stay or to push you away when it's time? And I'm finding like trusting your soul is the only surefire way to minimize the amount of struggle and suffering you experience within your processes. Incubation. Allow yourself to incubate during this period. This incubation has a lot to do with healing, with self-healing, okay? If you contract an illness and you stay home and you stay separate from everyone, that's the type of incubation. You're incubating yourself. Well, let's define a process of incubating eggs, cells, bacteria, a disease. Um, incubare. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's look up incubate. To keep at a suitable temperature so that they develop. To have an infectious disease developing inside one before symptoms appear. To develop slowly without outward or perceptible signs. Ah, that's it right there. Develop slowly without outward or perceptible signs. Okay. Incubate. Incubare. From in, upon, plus cubare, to lie. To lie upon. Ooh. It has to do with laying in the arms of creation. To allow that growth to occur, although it's hidden from others, maybe even hidden from you. To trust that growth is happening within the shell. You are being held by creation. So here's another message that I'm receiving. It's like this kind of like an analogy with the egg, right? The bird's egg. So the bird's egg is confined within a shell. It has a shell. And some people need to be reminded that shell is porous. It can still continue to exchange gases and whatnot with the environment, right? So it's everything that it needs to be. Now, that shell, although protective, is also fragile. So some would say, like, oh, but no, this the shell is not going to protect me. I need to do more. I mean, basically not trusting their soul. So if you quadruple the thickness of that shell so that it's, unbreakable, how are you going to get out when it's time to be reborn? How are you going to get out? The shell is only as hard as is necessary to protect the baby, but not so hard that it entombs the child. Know that whatever type of shell you have around you, it's what you need in this moment. It's what is most appropriate for where you're at within your journey. Your soul knows what it's doing. It's had multiple lifetimes to figure things out. It's the human aspect of you that has no idea what the actual plan is. It's that human monkey mind that keeps trying to take the wheel despite not knowing how to drive. Would you let your monkey drive a car? I'm not talking about a chimpanzee. Chimpanzees are apes. They're not monkeys. I'm talking about a little monkey. A little, like, what are they called? Capuchins? A little monkey, the naughty kind with a long ass tail. I know sugar gliders are not monkeys, but would you let a sugar? I identify as a sugar glider. You don't know what a sugar glider is? Hold on. If I'm going to be some sort of primate, hold the phone. Okay, first off, hold on. Hold on. Okay. This is me as soon as Frey gets home from running errands. Okay. This is me missing your bullshit. Hold on. Un momento, por favor. Come on now. This is me being lovingly held and transported by Michael. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. This is me being my aggressive self. I identify as a sugar glider. I'm just saying, you know? This is me feeling fancy AF. Okay? Fancy AF. Let's keep going. Bravery oceans. Ooh. You got to cross those oceans. Don't be afraid of drowning in them. Don't be afraid of getting lost in them. That's your home. That's your home. That's what exists inside you. So yeah, travel through your life. Allow yourself to go from one mental and emotional house to another. Okay. Allow yourself to be inspired. I'm wondering if maybe some of us recently were stung by someone. Maybe someone said something or did something that stung your feelings. Okay. It's okay. You're going to be okay. Maybe you need to have a conversation with whoever hurt your feelings, or maybe you need to just kind of accept that some people are not intentionally hurtful and they lack the capacity to take accountability for their actions. And it's not to say that you're not allowed to be mad. It is to say that staying mad is not going to do anything. They're incapable of understanding what they actually did and why it's wrong. Because some people are. Some people are. Some people don't understand. Some people don't understand why you're upset with what they said, what they did, and that's fine. All you need to do is be the one to understand. Okay? Card number 35. Card number 35. Conscious connections. 3 being the number of a solid foundation, 5 being the number of change. 3 plus 5 is 8. That's reunifying your parts. When you create a solid foundation from which to change yourself, your perception of yourself, you can then usher in profound change. And in that changing, you are bringing more of your parts back home to you. So allow it. Allow it. Ooh. Also, someone's already checking out the PiSCES. Someone's already watching. It's almost this sense of like they feel so monochromatic in their life. Maybe this is someone that watches you because you're so full of life and they feel so unalive in their existence. They're bored with the monotony of what they're in. And I mean, I'm sorry that you're bored, but you're going to have to be an adult. If you're unhappy in the situation you're in, you need to have conversations with the other people who are involved in that environment. And if you're going to walk away in a manner that leaves their dignity intact. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to stay. You don't have to go. Whatever you decide, please decide with a consideration for everyone's dignity. That's not too much to ask. It's something that will force you to seek out the most compassionate, most peaceful solution. That's going to take time. That's going to take effort. That's going to take consideration. You and anyone who's involved in whatever the situation is deserves that. It's worth it. It's definitely worth it. It's worth it. Leave people in a state of wholeness as much as you possibly can before you depart. That's what the truly evolved do. That's what the truly evolved souls do. They're not interested in wars. They're capable of waging wars. They're not interested in doing so. They're interested in growth. They're interested in reciprocity. They're interested in so much beautiful, beautiful stuff that empowers everyone involved, from staying to cheer you on, or giving you advice when they're asked, or walking away when it's become toxic. They're interested in growth, not in retaliation. If you're still in a place where all you want to do is retaliate, where you don't want someone to move on because they couldn't work it out with you, so now they don't have your permission to work it out with someone else, you're wrong. You're wrong. We can't always be right. That's fine. You're not expected to always be right. But when you're wrong, make corrections with what you're doing wrong. If you've already broken up, you've already broken up. Let them move on with their life. Don't threaten them. Don't make it hard for them. Don't hope that they never find anyone else. And this concept of, you're never going to find anyone like me. Yeah, maybe that's their goal, to never be with someone like you again, because that's toxic. And am I saying this because I think that's all you deserve? Or am I saying this because the reality of it is, you need to hear it so that you can choose to make changes, so that you don't repeat this anymore with other people, because you deserve to be loved. Not loved because of or in spite of your toxicity, but love because you deserve to be loved as you work through your struggles. I mean, don't you deserve that? And if this person can't love you in the way you need, why hold on to it? Why hold on to it? There's no need to. There's a need for healing. There's a need for progress, for movement. All right. We have card number 51. Mercury retrograde reinvention. Mishaps are like knives that either serve us or cut us as we grasp them by the blade or by the handle. Mercury retrograde is regarded as a time when things tend to go wrong. In actuality, it marks a 3.5-week period where any important actions should be postponed. About 3 or 4 times a year, Mercury goes through a motion called retrograde, which means to go back or retreat. But although Mercury, the planet of slippery wit, fluency, and adaptability, this inner planet so close to the sun, appears to be going backwards, it's not. The retrograde movement of a planet is just an illusion because the Earth is orbiting the sun at a different speed than Mercury and the other planets. Still, from an astrological point of view, planets in retrograde motion cause potent effects on the Earth below. No planet goes retrograde as often as Mercury because it's never more than 28 degrees from the sun. And because of this, it's given us the dubious phrase that when something goes awry, many exclaim, Mercury must be in retrograde. Or maybe you're just not making healthy life choices. Mercury isn't a predictable planet going along its normal direct path anyways. Once it goes retrograde, it's akin to trying to drive a car backwards. All things ruled by Mercury suddenly begin to wobble and go off kilter. However, if you're a writer, when Mercury is retrograde, it's a perfect time to revise your writings. Mercury is a counterpart of Hermes, the Greek Olympian god, the sly trickster, who's not only big on pranks, but also false moves. He's the god of transitions, roads, and boundaries. The very name Hermes has to do with speech and implies he is a. I was going to read that as transgender. It's translator. Um, there's nothing wrong with being transgender, but that's hilarious that I was reading it as transgender. The very name Hermes has to do with speech and implies he's a translator. Mercury as Hermes conveys information. When that information comes to us wrongly, because of Mercury's unpredictable retrograde motion, nothing seems to go right. Firstly, when this card comes up in a reading, back up all of your equipment, your computers, cell phones, and address book, and anything to do with technology or mechanics. I'm wondering if someone needs to like back up from a decision that's about to be made. Um, hold on. You'll want to carefully go over any contract you sign and check any email you send. So, mundane matters aside, retrograde planets are said to be more empathic. And that means that strangely, we are more silently and internally keyed into their energies. This causes unusual and fated meetings and occurrences to happen. You may meet up with someone you haven't seen in years at a most unexpected place. You may have a conversation with someone with whom you only have a superficial relationship with when suddenly you connect to that person, causing a much deeper rapport. If you're asking about the strengthening of a relationship, this is not a good time to get married, but it's an excellent time to renew your vows. It's not a good time to initiate a divorce or end a relationship, though, considering how soon Mercury moves forward again, because if you do, then the relationship will soon move forward again, too. If you're feeling hopeless and worried that a relationship is never going to work, the Mercury retrograde card is actually a good one to turn up in a reading. It means there is more than what you know about the situation at the current time, and that the possibility of the relationship getting on its legs and moving ahead is very likely. It's also a fortuitous time to connect with a lover from the past. It's a time to revise, reinvent, and renew. So it's this like weird sense that the energy, whoever this is for, the energy you're embodying is quite possibly this inversion of the truth of what you should consider. This has nothing to do with this has nothing to do with someone uh needing to decide something specific, like you can only pick B. There's A, B, and C, but you can only pick B. There's no other options. No, you have plenty of options. But have you considered all the other options? Have you considered yet how option B, will affect you? If not, then you maybe need to begin considering that. You maybe need to begin realizing, recognizing, accepting that you're not seeing all the different potentialities and the pathways that you will go down if you hold on to that potentiality. So, I think I'm done. I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know. So, okay, for those who feel like this resonates, is this a situation that has existed for quite some time now, and you keep back and forth for a relationship? Is it something where you think you're making progress and then boom, you're right back to that place of this could never work. It's just not going to work. And you keep like, right as you're going to commit to that decision of walking away, you go back to it. Are you going back to it because you're afraid of change? Or are you going back to it because that's really where you feel you should be? Because if you're only sticking around because you're comfortable and it feels safe and they're begging and now you feel bad and where are you going to go? And that's not a reason to stay. It's just not. Stay because that's the only place you want to be, not because that's the only place you think you have the option of being at. This is a period where whatever you choose, it's going to carry over into next year. It's going to be emblazoned by that 1212 and 1221 portal. Not to mention that December 4th celestial event. It's causing me to feel so hungry. It's causing me to feel so hungry. Like, I don't know what you're supposed to do. It's almost a sense of like you don't know what to do. You don't know what to do, and you know, like you know what to do, but you don't know how you feel. And it's almost this sense of like you're waiting for someone to tell you what to do. Excuse me, and that might be because you don't want to take accountability for what you decide. That's not an uncommon thing. And that's a very, very common thing where we actually wait for people to kind of confirm for us what we want, what we need, and so that way we don't have to be like, I made this decision. We could be like, oh, well, you told me to, right? But really, yo. Hey, I'm still live streaming. I'll call you back. Thank you about the dinner last night. Okay, I'll call you back. Aji, calm down, bro. Bye. Yeah. Is that what's going on? Where like we know what we need to do, but then we're scared, and it's okay if you're scared. This feels like it's a big decision, a life altering type of decision. Here's my logic. If I keep considering leaving and I can't ever seem to leave, then maybe one of two things is happening. I'm afraid to move forward because I've begun to identify as a painful situation that I'm in, or I'm just afraid. I'm afraid, and so I'm avoiding the inevitable because I don't want to deal with it. The reality of the human logic is when you are actually done with something, like genuinely done, you're not consulting anyone else. You're just doing it. You're not consulting anyone. You're done, so you're out. Yeah. There have been plenty of couples who have come to me and I've assisted them in helping to understand what the other person is thinking and feeling and the things that they can't say to each other. And it opens up this beautiful line of communication. And sometimes it's kind of like a mixed bag. Sometimes people will maintain that long term and their relationship will blossom and the roots will go deeper. And now it's like, this is my best friend. This is my soulmate. This is who I belong with. And it's beautiful. Or the other side of that mixing, jostling movement is they're able to maintain it for only a short period. And then they revert back to their old behaviors. And I don't hear from them again. I don't hear from them. Why is that? Because they didn't need me to convince them to give the other person another chance. They've made their decision, they're done. They're just done. I mean, I shouldn't have like the final say in your relationship, you know? So maybe you're not done. Maybe you're still finishing something off, some type of learning, some type of opportunity to grow yourself, to expand, expand your sense of self, expand your ability to decide what you need, your ability to recognize what those needs are, and then begin the process of deciding how you will fulfill those needs. This is about your growth. This is about your process of realizing how competent and capable you actually are. Accept that about yourself. You're competent and you're capable of living your life on your own terms. Now, when it comes to someone being, very controlling, someone trying to dictate to you how to live your life, what decision to make, what this and what that, I don't know if I'm the best person to give opinions, to give advice. I'm so averse to people trying to control me that I have zero tolerance for people trying to control other people. My only solution is I'm good. I'm done. I'm just done. And that's that. And when I'm done, you're not convincing me that I'm not done. Unless I'm actually not done and I'm just mad, I'm like upset. And so I'm telling myself I'm done because, I don't want to deal with it. It's a form of avoidance. Yeah, no, when I'm really actually genuinely done with a situation, with a connection, with whatever, oh well. And that's such a hard thing to hear, right? But it's like really, oh well. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. Like, oh well, I no longer have emotions about it. That's how you know you're really done. You have no emotions about it. Like, oh well, you don't like me, you don't want to be around me. Oh well, have a good life. Oh well. So decisions. We got to make some decisions before you make your decisions, before you finalize those decisions, before you put some sort of action behind that decision. Really assess, where is this coming from? Does it come from a place of avoidance? Does it come from a place of fear? Does it come as a half baked idea of some possible, maybe not solution? Just pause for a second. Really make sure. You don't have to consult with anyone else if you don't want to. If you need to consult with someone else, and I think there's other things that you need to factor in and um, really assess before you decide. Like really, really assess before you decide it. And once you assess that, then make your decision. If from every angle you look at this situation, it still seems like the same solution is necessary, is appropriate, that's probably your solution. So, Emmie, are you telling me to? I'm not telling you anything but to decide to think for yourself. I bet you're in the situation you're in right now because you allowed someone else to decide things for you for so long. I don't want to be an extension of that. Retrieve your power, pull it back, let your power be retained where it should be retained, within your hands, within your logic, within your emotion, within your intuition. That's where your power belongs. Let yourself guide yourself. Don't pass it off to me. I'm not going to catch that hot potato. I can't even eat potato. I don't even want to touch potato. I'm just saying. I'm not down to get burned for you. I'm minding my own business. I'm about to take a nap. Know what I'm saying? So make some decisions. When you make decisions, consider what those decisions are. Consider the possible ramifications. Why are you choosing this decision? And then take a moment to digest, to process. Okay? And that's all you can do. And guess what? That's more than enough. That's more than enough. Okay? So, just an FYI before I go, my crystal babies from my personal collection, the coupon finally went active. It's gone from 33% off to a flash sale of 40% off. So that flash sale, that means it's not a long-term sale. If you are interested in any of my crystal babies from my personal collection, now's probably the time to get it. I don't think that flash sale is going to last very long. Okay, guys. So please give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe. Turn on that notification bell. Join me when I'm live. If you celebrate this holiday season, I hope it's been a good one for you. I hope that you enjoyed last night and will be enjoying this weekend with family. If you don't celebrate, I hope you had a happy Thursday and are having an amazing Friday, and have that amazingness carry on through the weekend and the rest of the year. So, you guys, find your peace within yourself. Cultivate it. Allow it to become a sanctuary for you during inclement weather. Allow it to be a place for you to live long term within this lifetime. You don't only have to feel peaceful when you're meditating. You can infuse that into your entire life. Start doing it. Start infusing your life with peace. Start making the decisions that will protect and perpetually sustain your personal peace. You deserve that. And if you don't believe you do, I'm telling you right now, yes, you do. Yes, you are capable of that. Yes, you are powerful enough to remove toxic people from your life, to keep them out, to hold space for people who encourage and support your healing, your empowerment, all of that. Let's make that shift. First, it requires you making a decision. And in order to make that decision, you have to assess your life and where you've gone. And then you have to become aware of where you want to go. So allow yourself. Start the process. Start it today. It doesn't have to start on January 1st. Make the change today. January 1st is just another day. Just like yesterday was just another day. Just like Christmas is just another day. Every day is an amazing day. Every day has a capability of being a holy day. Celebrate yourself in your life. Okay? All right, guys. I will see you again very soon. Bye, everyone.